Our seventh tradition states that every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. We will now pass the basket. This is a weekly step meeting. Our format is as follows. A speaker is asked to talk for 25 to 30 minutes on the step of that week, followed by discussion or questions until 7 p.m. You can find these weekly meetings on our YouTube page, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share. That brings us to the speaker portion of the meeting on this day of, what is the date? The 22nd, 20 what? Yeah. 7/22/24. In Doylestown, PA, at the Monday night 6 p.m. Stay Alive Literature and Step Group at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Tonight's speaker is Tim, and they will be sharing their experience on Step 7. Please help me welcome Tim.
Hello, I'm Tim, and I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Usually I have like a little notepad that I go by that guides me through these things, but of course I forgot that, so this meeting's already off the rails. But I'll try and make this make sense. So I'll tell you a little bit about, about me, about where I was and where I am today, and ended up with Step 7. I grew up, I was raised by my mom. My dad died when I was 1 year old, and that was going to be like a sort of like a storyline for the beginning part of my life. A lot of loss, but for the most part, even though I didn't have a dad, everything was pretty normal. My mom tried as hard as she could and everything like that, and I had a great family. Unfortunately, they just all kept dying. All my grandparents, my grandfathers, my aunt, my uncle, and then my mom actually took care of her mom in our house, and she passed away in the house, and then she took in my dad's mom, and she passed away in the house. And that was, well, I'll get to that in a second, but that was probably where there was a bit of a turn in how I was acting. But there was definitely alcoholism. Before the alcohol even came along, alcoholism was pretty, you could tell I had something was wrong with me. Like I said, my mom raised me, but I had these grandparents, before they passed away, and I was very spoiled. I was an only child. I got what I wanted, and like most alcoholics, I wanted what I wanted when I wanted it, and I got used to that. Unfortunately, I guess they felt bad, or whatever, and they were just trying to. It was my dad's parents mainly that spoiled me. But I got good grades throughout elementary school. I was big into sports. A lot of friends. I thought I was nice. I had this thing where I hated getting in trouble. I didn't like people mad at me, so I got really upset if you were mad at me, which is the complete opposite of today. I don't care if you're mad at me. As time went on, I had a group of friends and whatnot, but I was always the one. I said, because of what happened to my dad died when he was 38 from smoking cigarettes. So I was going to be the guy. I wasn't going to smoke cigarettes. I wasn't going to drink. I wasn't going to do drugs. I wasn't doing anything. And that looked good on paper, but that didn't pan out that way. I did hold out for a while, but in high school, my friends got together and they were going to partake in something else, and I didn't want to do that at the time, but his dad was an alcohol salesman, so he had like a garage full of liquor, so he's like, well, just go in there and pick what you want. I don't even remember what it was. I picked it out, but I remember like the feeling, like I got all warm, and like I was always really insecure and really like anxious. And once that warm feeling came over me, I was thrilled. You know, I was happy. They were high, but I was, you know, I was feeling, you know, I was nice. I liked that a lot. And for whatever reason, one of my gifts growing up was I could drink a lot of alcohol really fast. And I thought this was pretty neat. So, you know, that became my calling card at get-togethers and such. They would come up with, you know, crazy stuff for me to do, like, you know, do a beer bong off a roof or something like that, and I'd be the guy that would do that, you know. And I thought everybody was just like, wow, you know, he's so cool or whatever. They were just like, that guy's an idiot. You know, I can't believe he's doing that. But to me, you know, that was my in, you know. And once I got, you know, I mean, I could drink a lot, but like that didn't stop me from getting completely annihilated. I never drank socially. That never ever happened in my life, not once. So, you know, high school, whatever, that's just the weekends. And, you know, I mean, you hear all these stories, any meeting you go to, whoever talks, you know, it started on the weekends, then it was this. But really, you know, I went to college, and that was it. College, that was the first time I was on my own, and it was it was not good. I didn't last very long up there. A couple run-ins with the law for like drinking and being publicly intoxicated. I tried rushing a fraternity, but they didn't party enough for me. They wanted me to do schoolwork too, and I wasn't about that. So I did not last long. They kindly asked, they told me I could stay enrolled, but I could not stay on the campus anymore. So I did not have a house nearby, so I went home. And that is when some of my friends from high school, I came home and I said, hey, I'm home, you know. And they had moved on from alcohol to something else. And that is where the first time my life really went off the rails. I was about 18, 19 years old. And, you know, without getting into that, that was a tough couple years, maybe 3 or 4 years. And I was in and out of treatment facilities, and it was horrible. I was introduced to AA, NA. I went to an NA meeting down in Center City, Philadelphia. It was like one of my first meetings. I don't know if you guys know her. You know, you can imagine what that would be like. It was intimidating. I did not want to go back. So, and I didn't really pay attention to the program. I was like, oh my, you know, I was just like, I didn't want to be sick anymore, and I wanted people to leave me alone. But you know, the treatment facilities I didn't get clean out of one of those. Finally, it just came to a point where I had gone from one thing to another, substituting things. And I was just down and out. Like, I was in and out of community college. I was working at a beer distributor. You know, life was not on the up and up, you know, not going anywhere. So I laid on my mom's couch for like a month or two, you know, just trying to get myself together and not be around the people I was around. And one day I went down to the military recruiting office, and I took the practice ASVAB test, and I scored very, very high on it, so they called me a lot, and I took the real one. But due to, I scored very high, I could have gotten into any of the branches based on that, but because of my criminal record, the Army was where I was going to go, or the Navy. I wasn't going to the Navy, so I was going in the Army. Sorry if you're in the Navy, but whatever. So I went into the Army, and of course, you know, that definitely put an end to all that other stuff I was doing, because then it's, you know, you're getting drug tested and everything. I was like, this is perfect, you know, this is going to be like, keep me away from that kind of stuff for a while. Well, in the Army, they like to drink a lot. So basically what I did is I put some other stuff down and I went back to alcohol, my first love, you know, and I mean, that was just the culture there. Like as soon as I got to Fort Hood, Texas after training, it was just drinking. And then we deployed. And then we came back and drank. And then we deployed and dried out and came back and drank. That's basically what we did. After my first deployment, I did get married, if you call it that. She was from Maryland. The only way for her to get down to Texas was because I wasn't of a rank to live outside of the barracks yet. We had to get married. So we got married after never living together. We know each other a little bit, but not good. A lot of junior enlisted soldiers do that, or they buy like a $60,000 car. I went the marriage route. So, needless to say, like I said, when we came back from deployment, I mean, they would send us to places where they prod you and make, hey, are you all right after that? Anything hurt? Whatever. So basically, we weren't even really working. We were just going to these appointments and just getting annihilated every day. And apparently, that's not what she wanted in a marriage. And she had a daughter with her. It was not mine, but she did not know her father, and she was autistic. So I was about 26 years old. And we bought a house. I got married. I had a daughter then, I guess. Everything was very different. And one day I came home from post, and basically the house was empty, and there was a note on the kitchen table. Sorry, but I gotta look out for myself and my daughter. And and the first thing I did, because she had asked me to stop drinking or slow down on it, and I would sneak it. I'd stop at the PX on the way home, or the duty-free store, and I'd get like a bottle of vodka, and I'd pour it in Gatorade, and I would be drinking that on the way home. And the first thing I did is I went to the car and I got that whole bottle of vodka, and I just put it down, and I don't think I stopped for, I don't know how many months after that. They were, people cared about me in my unit, and they were worried. I remember the first weekend, there was 2 people on each side of me in my backyard, and I was sitting there I was holding a shovel, and I didn't want anybody near me, but they just sat there and watched me, make sure I didn't hurt myself or anybody else. So that was pretty traumatic for me, and that sort of like goes back to that thing in childhood about I had a lot of loss. So like this abandonment thing was like really playing a big part in my life, and now it just at that point I thought my life was over. I was like, because you go from having these things to like, now what? Like, how am I going to pay for this house? Like, I thought the divorce was going to get ugly, or I didn't know what was going to happen. I was devastated, even though we didn't know each other that well. I mean, this was a big change, and then to have it just evaporate into nothing was pretty traumatic. So I didn't really know what to do. I had planned on getting out of the military, but my unit was like, well, we're going again. Why don't you come with us? I was like, okay, sounds like a great idea. So I deployed again. The divorce worked itself out with a lawyer, and I was sort of back, at least out of crisis mode for a little bit. And then I met my wife that I have currently, and we got married. And we're still together, though. She didn't leave yet, but it was pretty, I mean, no, she has left, actually. A couple times. Take that back. So this one's lasted a little longer. But so I got out of the military, and then I was in Texas for a little bit. I was trying to do the school thing, really wasn't clicking. I was driving for FedEx, and then they gave me some money to stay in the reserves. So I'd go once a month, and I hated it. You know, it was completely different than active duty. I didn't like it. But it gave us health insurance at the time because I didn't have it through my job. But I was really hating life. And I remember I was on my route. It was in rural Texas. And I pulled over one day, and it was like raining, but like I still have to deliver the packages and stuff. And I just pulled over, and I was like, this sucks, man. This like really sucks. And I looked down at my phone, and I had a Facebook message, and it was actually a captain I had served with in the military. He knew I was from this area, and he was at a water treatment company, and they had an opening at Rutgers University to work there basically full time as a contractor. And he wanted to know, you know, we got to speaking, and he wanted to know if I was interested in coming back home because we had just had my first son. We had no family down there. We were just there because we had the house. You know, the house was right off base, so if you weren't working on the base, like there was no reason for you to be there. So I came up to like the Newtown area. I interviewed, I got the job, and we moved back. Unfortunately, we didn't get a place right away, so we moved in my in-laws, like above their garage, and that was really detrimental to my drinking schedule, because I had to sneak all this alcohol in, and then I had to get it out without, the clanging, and then I was always real quick to be like, oh no, I'll take out the garbage, because I didn't want them to start wheeling the garbage cans out, and then, luckily they were usually never home when the garbage truck would pull up, and it was just like clank, 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 clank. I was like, oh man, this is bad. But so I started this job, and the drinking just, I thought because I stopped all these other things, these other substances, that I was clean. Like, I was like, look, I beat those. I can beat anything I want, if alcohol's ever a problem, I can just stop. Look, I stopped when we deployed, I could stop whenever I want. In the back of my head, I kind of knew that was a lie, because I since the time my grandmother died when I was 16, I don't think I went more than 2 or 3 days without some sort of substance in me to alter my mood, other than the deployment, because there was nothing there, So, needless to say, they give you a company vehicle, and I was off to, I got the job in January, and by April 1st, I'd crashed like 2 vehicles already. One was at a Flyers game, and I was completely hammered, and I backed into a light pole, and I told them it happened on campus because I'm a stand-up guy and everything, and they believed it. And then, what was the other one? I don't know, something else. But then, so anyway, they were fixing that, and they gave me a rental, and I had actually found, I didn't know what they were. I guess they were some sort of muscle relaxer that my father-in-law had. And one night, I was up late. I didn't really know what they did, but I was working. I mixed that with alcohol, and when I woke up in the morning, I was pretty looped, And I tried to get out of the neighborhood. I think I clipped somebody's mailbox, but I'm not sure. And then I got on to, what's that main road there? The highway, whatever that is over there, 76 or whatever. And going towards Route 1. And I fell asleep at the wheel of this F-250 and went off the road and down into like this, how they have the woods sometimes in the middle of a highway, like out of nowhere, there's just like a little patch of woods. I went right into it, and it was pretty bad. Like, I woke up, like the truck was demolished. Some guy was yelling down into the ditch for me, and I just like kicked out the back window and got out. But those pictures afterwards, like, I don't know how I wasn't. I was probably hurt, but I don't know how I was more seriously hurt. And of course, the police came and stuff. Oh, we think you should go to the hospital. And I'm knowing that I took something the night before that did not have my name on it, and I was driving a company vehicle. I was like, no, I'm not going to the hospital. And I don't really remember too much, like that later that day or maybe the next day. I definitely had a concussion or something like that. But to me, that was, well, it's over with. No big deal. I mean, there's so many, every time I tell my story, sometimes I'll leave stuff out or put stuff in, but, I've already left out stuff numerous times, getting pulled over and stuff. To me, like, getting pulled over at 10 o'clock in the morning, and passing the field sobriety test, but they just wanted to make sure I wasn't drunk and giving me a breathalyzer, and I blew a .18 at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I passed. The first thing the cop said was, "You're an alcoholic." And I was offended. How dare he? I wanted to know how he clocked my speed. He was coming the other way. He was like, "I got it on my dash." I was like, nah. So yeah, all these warning signs, and I just kept ignoring them. Until finally, I got on track. Well, not on track with the drinking, but like my career was going places. I was moving up the company, and I was getting promoted. I was doing well. I would, I don't know what they say, like functioning alcoholic. Like every day I drank, I'd drink a lot at night, and then I'd go and work, and I'd come home and I'd drink. And the whole time I ignored my family, I ignored my wife. All I cared about was making money and moving up in the company and going home, sitting by myself, drinking and thinking about the past. That's it. That's all I did. By the time it was bedtime, I had worked myself up into such an anger from sitting there drinking and thinking about things. Like thank God everybody was asleep, because I probably just would have taken it out on them. I was not a nice person. So I get this promotion that is way above my pay grade, because people had faith in me in the company. And this was like a major break. This was going from like a blue collar position to a white collar position, like, making a serious, increase in money. And this was at the same time my second son was born. And we, of course, as soon as we found out about the promotion, we went out and bought a new house, because that's what you do, right? So new kid, new job, new house. It was all the recipe for cracking again. And I did. And the drinking escalated and escalated. And the problem was the alcohol would do what it was supposed to do at night. And I would be able to function the next day, and the nerves, whatever, I wouldn't be such a mess. But it stopped working. And that's when I knew I was in real trouble, when it stopped working. And this whole time I'm going to the VA, and all the VA does is they throw pill bottles at you. So I'm drinking while taking what the doctor says is going to make me better. But of course I'm not telling my doctor that I'm drinking, 18 drinks a night, I can't figure out, doctor, why I'm so nervous when I wake up. It's because I'm going through alcohol withdrawal, because I'm an alcoholic, But when they ask you how much you drink, it's like, 3 to 4, 2 or 3 nights a week, because I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I didn't want to tell them that. I didn't want to be like, "Hey man, I'm a complete wreck right now." So I was just hoping every pill that they would give me, one of them would, I don't know, do something other than what was happening. But that never came, and it just got worse. So I left that job. I took a leave of absence for health reasons. And while I was gone, another one of my friends that worked there went to another company, and he thought it was a lot better. And so I did an interview with them, and they offered me a lot more money. But the woman in charge of that district, the Philadelphia district, had a reputation of being just the worst in the industry. and like nobody could work for her. But I was like, for that amount of money, I can work for anybody. Well, I couldn't. So that lasted about 6 months, and that's when the alcohol was just. That's when I finally went back into a treatment center. You know, I went into a detox. I tried to, maybe a quick pit stop and oil change will do the trick. It didn't, and that happened maybe 3 or 4 times. Nothing stuck. I wanted to stop. I just couldn't. I just couldn't, and especially once I started. Once I had separation, once I would start again, there was no stopping me. So I went back to the old. Luckily, the old company took me back in a role with less responsibility but more money for when I left. So I don't know how that works, but that should be the golden ticket, man. I should have been cruising. But of course, I couldn't stop drinking, and I tried. I came into this program after going to treatment. I worked with Ron. Well, I didn't work with Ron. Ron told me things to do that I didn't do. There's a difference. There is a big difference. I met some of you, but I was gonna run my own program. I would do this and I would do that, but I was not gonna do that. The 4th and 5th step. Yeah, okay, no, not happening. Because that was stuff I was gonna take with me. So of course I went back out, and the last time it was real bad. Whatever I hadn't lost, I lost. The job. That's when the wife left with the kids. The house was about to get lost. The car. It wasn't just like a fall from grace. It was like a free fall. It was dramatic, and it was scorched earth. And unfortunately, I guess that's what some of us need. That's what I needed. So one day another veteran came and got me, and enough was enough, and took me to the VA hospital in Philadelphia, and the emergency room, and I was in there for like a week because I guess I had COVID when I got in there. But then I went to a place called the Snyder House, and they deal with basically the whole package there, addiction, your mental health, any point, like, when you're an alcoholic like me, you're not going to the doctor, I don't know when I had been to the doctor last. Like, all these aches and pains that I had, from whenever, I would drink to cover that up. And when you stop drinking, you start hurting. And it's like, how do you deal with that, without, obviously I can't take any medicine and stuff, so they set you up with physical therapy and stuff like that. So they did a great job. I got back in contact with people from the program, let them know when I was coming out. They did not take me to a bar this time when I got home, as was the routine. But I got back in the program, and I think then how the 7th step plays into my story here is, so the stuff I was carrying around, it was the point where, like, carrying that around was more painful than the pain of having to tell somebody about it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do all this, and I did. I worked with my sponsor. I did the 4th, did the 5th, took the time for myself, and then I've been praying every day, and I pray every day that he takes my defects away, because I still got a bunch of them, but things are getting better. It's funny when you start doing the right thing, and you stop having my hand in everything, messing everything up, and just sort of let things play out. It tends to work out, Go figure. But I remember, my mind since I was 16 or 15, whenever I can remember, has always been going 1,000 miles an hour. And you know, when I asked for that, for him, humbly asked him to take away my shortcomings, like, that's peace. Yeah, that's the first time I felt some relief. So, yeah, I guess, yeah, that's all I got. Yeah. So.
Please limit your sharing to 3 minutes. Please keep your shares related to the step. If you feel like drinking or if you've had a drink today, please see me or speak to someone after the meeting. We ask that you please refrain from the use of profanity. We are in a church and on a spiritual journey. Now it's open to you.
Josh O'Connor.
Hey, Josh.